Hey, yeah, this is Christian Michael with the Seattle Seahawks, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Well, I'm here. That's good, right? I don't even think my ears are working right now. Does this sound fine?
You sound sickly.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to do the show today. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah, and you look sickly.
I think people think that a lot.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
We'll put a poll up.
Welcome to the show. No, you will not. Welcome to the podcast, Thursday, October 27th. I am a frog, but I'm back. I'm here. Last night was a fury. We had our trade deadline in our keeper league.
Holy
which
crap.
You're probably saying to yourself, trade deadline already? Yeah, we do it that early because that makes people make a decision about their team and whether they're in it for next year, in it for this year. And I think I swung about 8 trades while I was hacking up a lung.
I have never. I mean, clearly we've played a little bit of fantasy football, the three of us. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I was so intimidated by like every 5 seconds. I have no idea who's on anybody's team anymore. The whole league just swapped. It was like musical teams.
2 times. 2 times last night I pulled off 2 deals at the exact same moment in order to, flip picks for players and things like that. So those are hard to coordinate, because you got to get an acceptance from one guy but not accept his deal, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's usually furious, but that was by far the most fast and furious. Maybe too fast.
Maybe too fast, too furious. We'll see. Big, giant, huge, humongous show today. We have starts of the week, fantasy forecast, the matchups, great quick question, brand new segment. I mean, you're talking. Well, Jason doesn't know what it is.
I have no idea. And what's funny
it's completely a surprise to him.
What's funny is yesterday I had heard about this new segment we have coming on.
Pimping this segment for a week.
I know, and every time that you've brought it up on the show, I've thought to myself, wait, what is that? But then I forget.
But you've never asked.
And then yesterday I asked you, I go, hey, what is this new segment that, I'm a part of the show? And you're like, oh, you can't know. And so I am afraid of this new segment.
All right, we're going to do the quick question first, and then we're going to share what Jason had for lunch yesterday.
All right.
Because that's what we've been doing this week, because Mike gets to choose all of his lunches, because Jason made the wrong call on the Chicago defense. He still argues that point.
Well, I definitely won the bet, but I am a man of honor, and I will allow myself to lose the bet for the sake of entertainment. All
right. Fantasy footballers, quick question of the day. It's another who am I, guys. Ooh. You think you can handle this?
Let's do it.
Mike Jones.
No. You don't guess yet.
Oh, sorry.
And who's Mike Jones?
The rapper? No?
Oh.
All right.
Okay. No, I missed it.
Someone out there
I missed it. Number 1, I'm 4th. Here's the clues. 4th in receiving yards, 200 yards behind Julio Jones.
200 yards?
Yeah, 200 yards behind Julio.
200 yards.
But
Greg Olsen.
But 4th in receiving.
Ooh, that's a very good guess.
What I'm going to do is I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm just going to tell you if you're right.
Okay.
So otherwise, if I continue with clues, you're wrong. I'm currently the wide receiver 9 in half point per reception
Greg
league.
Olsen.
You're wrong.
It's got to be Greg.
Currently 9th in half point leagues.
Okay, 9th in half point PPR. Okay.
I'm shorter than all but 2 of the 8 guys in front of me.
Very vague. Okay.
Okay, I'm shorter.
All right, so he's not a
tall man.
This is not a Mike Evans-esque type.
Okay, you're right about that. I'm on bye this week.
So is everyone. So is half of the league.
So 4th in receiving yards, wide receiver 9 in half point league, shorter than most.
Jarvis Landry.
On bye, no. Let's give you the last one.
All right, give me this last
Recently proposed to an inanimate object.
Oh, well, there you go.
Odell Beckham Jr.
So tell me this. Odell Beckham Jr. is the right answer. Disappointment?
So
is he a disappointment? Is he okay? Like, how do you view his first half of the season?
Every owner of Odell Beckham Jr. right now is disappointed because while he is your number 9 wide receiver, he has done it all in basically like 2 monster games. His other games have been huge disappointments that have actually hurt and affected, losses. I think that teams who have been starting a Jarvis Landry type probably have a better winning percentage than those starting the Odell Beckhams who, they won when he put up 42 points, but those other games, he needs more consistency, and I think the New York Giants offense really needs to get it together. Nothing like a bye week to help fix some ailments, though.
Yeah, I think he's still okay moving forward, but we're sure the answer was not.
I think it is Greg Olsen.
It is not Greg Olsen.
Agree to disagree. Let's move on.
Right. What did you do to Jason yesterday at lunch?
So it was the lunch.
By the way, you still have not put your coveted graphic in the actual drops folder, so there's no way for me to play your Thunderstrike here.
Oh, it's showing up in the Dropbox for me, but nonetheless, moving forward, what Jason ate yesterday, we went to a sub place, which is delicious. We keep ending up at these delicious places.
I appreciate it.
Where it's very difficult to,
It's very important to note, at this sub place in particular, Jason adores a certain topping.
Yes, the pickles. And so I knew immediately that Jason would not be getting pickles, but we get in. I'm going through all the delicious subs. There's one that stands out, which, look, there's tons of vegetarians out there. They love it. That's not who Jason is.
I'm pretty much a carnivore.
And I look, I'm like, that's too mean. That's too mean for Jason. And we explained to the lunch guy, the sub guy, what had happened, that he lost a bet and I'm picking his lunch. And the guy immediately says, "Oh, you got to get him the number 6,
which is the veggie."
And I'm like, whoa, I thought that was a little bit too mean. The guy's like,
he lost a bet, right? It's just brutal. That guy was savage.
So Jason had a cheese sandwich. We ate. He had a cheese sandwich that Mike banished the pickles from.
Yes.
No pickles allowed.
Yep.
How was it?
It was
better
right.
or worse than the mayonnaise stuffed tomato?
Oh, it was way better than the mayonnaise stuffed tomato. You won on that one, Mike.
All right, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at the FF Ballers. You can follow us on the web. Head over to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Our community is jointhefoot.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. So let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
A lot of swirling. Man, I'm running out of gas. I would be surprised if I don't finish a sentence with no volume. Yeah, take the news.
All right, the news of the day. C.J. Anderson. There was a fury that broke loose yesterday on Twitter because all of a sudden was reported that C.J. Anderson was going to miss at least a few weeks with the possibility of even worse damage. It was revealed Wednesday night that Adam Schefter reported there is no ACL tear, but we still need more updates. Then a report came out this morning while we're recording, that was about 30 minutes ago, that C.J. Anderson, in fact, himself was telling people close to him that he thinks he's done for the year. And then C.J. Anderson has tweeted out that was not correct, that Ian Rappaport is spreading slander and libel.
So
what we do know,
brass tacks, Davante Booker's a top 5 guy for 3 weeks, in my opinion.
As long as Anderson is out, Davante Booker is a running back 1.
Yes, I think we can all agree on that. While C.J. Anderson is out, he's an RB1. The question is, how long is he out?
Great matchups for 3 weeks, though.
I would put the over-under right now at 5.
Games?
Yeah.
Yeah. The next 3 weeks for Denver's schedule and the way Davante Booker, it's not just this is not like, okay, a guy's out, and so Robert Kelley's going to get a shot. This is Booker performed last week, scored last week, looked great.
Yes.
Now he's got, and Capri Bibbs is going to get carries.
Look at Game 1 and Game 2 of this year with the Denver Broncos offense. In those games, C.J. Anderson looked to be a locked and loaded top 5 back because he was getting that crazy volume that some running backs get. You got your Le'Veon Bell who just gets all the touches. Now that's all. You're right. Capri Bibbs is there. He'll get a few, but he's not going to factor it. This is going to be the Davante Booker show.
Remember back in week 1 when Coobs had the opportunity to go full Tom Coughlin and just destroy Davante Booker's career right away?
You're talking about the fumble on his first NFL carry?
Yeah. But he didn't.
Oh, you're bringing that up again.
Wise coach.
Just a tip of the cap to Gary Kubiak.
Doug Martin not practicing.
Unlikely to play.
Theo Riddick back at practice.
Likely to play, but so is Dwayne Washington. So, I mean, Theo Riddick, you have to expect, goes back to his role. I think the bigger question for this is Golden Tate. What does this do to Golden Tate? Who's
That's
been
fair.
He's been riding high with Theo Riddick out of the lineup.
Even with 2 missed games so far this year, in our scoring system, half point per reception league, Theo Riddick is the number 25 running back. So with 2 missed games, he's still the number 25 in total points. When he was on the field, he was producing.
Yes.
So
very valuable.
For me, obviously, it just destroys the other guys. That's a mess there. But I would start Theo Riddick if he's active.
Agree. Yes, I agree.
But Dwayne Washington, Forsett, Zinner,
stay away.
Stay away. Joik Bell, don't play him. Jay Gruden said Rob Kelley would start if Matt Jones can't play this week.
We still need an update on Matt Jones.
Here's the thing. See, Chris Thompson's the play.
Yes.
Not Rob Kelley to me.
Fully agree.
And
last week,
not Matt Jones. I think if Matt Jones starts, I still like Chris Thompson more. I have him ahead in the rankings, and right now they're statted as Matt Jones playing.
Yeah, I
think that's really fair. I think that's really fair. And Chris Thompson had 16 carries last week, 113 total yards.
Knile Davis spent extra time over the weekend with his position coach, so we would expect Knile Davis to be more involved than he was last week. Don Jackson still dealing with the swollen hand. It's not looking good for him, so it would still be Ty Montgomery is the guy. He is the play for the pseudo running back or the real running back if you're an ESPN. And then Knile Davis he'll be involved.
Yeah, so he'll be involved. I don't think we would never recommend anyone to play Knile Davis.
No, not
I don't
yet.
think anybody is playing Knile Davis. The question is, will Knile Davis playing an active part of running back, will that take away from Ty Montgomery? And we'll have more information on that in the later part of the show.
Yes, and remember, tomorrow on the Friday episode, we have our in or out segment of the news where we're basically going through all the injury reports. So if there are guys we didn't mention today, it's because we'll make our call on those guys tomorrow. You know, I know there are players that we have ranked a little bit differently this week because of that. Jerick McKinnon, waiting to hear on Jerick McKinnon and things like that. So, we have our rankings up on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, and those will change. They always change as more information comes in. All right, Randall Cobb, practice, but was limited.
I think that's fine this early in the week.
Here's
some rest.
Here's a question. Cobb, Montgomery, Adams, Nelson. How do you rank those guys this week? Because the matchup's all right, and there were 39 completions last week. But how do you rank them? Because that was a struggle for me, dude. Because I feel like you have to pick somebody to be the guy. And last week it was Adams.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, personally, a slight repeat of last week where you're airing it out a lot. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Honest to goodness, not on the same team, but I would play all four. All four wide receivers will be productive this week. Jordy, Cobb, Davante Adams, and Ty Montgomery.
You're playing for your life. You're playing for your championship right now. This game, you start one of those guys.
It's Jordy.
Mike?
It's Montgomery.
It's funny because I think for me, it's
Cobb.
Probably Cobb.
I thought you were going Adams.
I think Adams would be like the 2 for all those picks.
Good luck.
I'm fine. I think all of them have good games, which means Aaron Rodgers should be okay.
Oh, yes.
Did you mention Donte Moncrief already?
No. We have not mentioned that. He's back to practice. As of right now, he said he'd be surprised if he does not play. So that is fantastic news for Andrew Luck and those who, if you stashed Moncrief when you had the chance, congratulations.
Yeah, and the person that it affects, not it drastically, but the Doyle love that he got last week, having no other pass catchers, could be hurt.
Josh McCown, there was a report this morning that he looked really good in practice. I believe the language was that the ball was humming. He was firing them around.
He can't do that.
Is he
a sneaky snart?
Is he a sneaky start this
against
week?
the Jets?
Against the Jets, if he was to play.
Possibly.
I think he is definitely a sneaky snart, but I actually like it even more for my actual stream of the week, which is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Just so that they can be more competitive in that game?
You are correct.
Corey Coleman returned to practice. Sammy Watkins is out of his walking boot. He's eligible to return and play in Week 12.
I mean, we got to start paying attention to that. It's just like how we, picked up Donte Moncrief and stashed him, you got to pick that week. You go, okay, we're in week 8 right now. You probably wait 2 more weeks. I think if you're 2 weeks ahead of the curve here in week 10 and you pick him up then, you'll probably still be able to get him if you're in a non-IR league. And I think he's worth a 2-week stash and wait because if he comes back, I mean, I had him statted out before the year as a wide receiver 1.
Couple of last-minute Thursday Night Football updates. Delaney Walker, not on the injury report, is going to play. Tajay Sharp looks like a game-time decision tonight. He should not be a game-time decision for you as a fantasy owner. So it's beyond that point right now with Tajay Sharp. He just can't put enough good weeks together. Too many cooks in the very small, low-passing offense kitchen. Yeah. All right, we are going to jump into the matchups. Remember that Baltimore, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco are on bye this week. Before we chat about that, I did want to review. Look, every week we do this. We play head-to-head in the Draft app.
Draft!
Well done.
Thank
Bringing me back to
to the draft
to
season,
the early
man.
days when we were in the double digits in episode count. By the way, episode 300 coming up soon.
Oh, we got to do something.
Got to do something special.
Especial.
Some giveaways, some things.
I'm going. I'll dress like a Spartan for the day.
We're dressing up for Halloween too, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Are you going as a stuffed tomato, Jason?
Oh. No, I think if that were the case, I would just come across as Andy Reid.
How?
Buzzing.
That,
you know who my wife...
That is the most amazing joke I've heard in a while.
You want to know who my wife really desperately tried to get me to go as
for
Halloween?
Oh, no.
She's like, we could find a nice, mullet wig and get that going, but I'd have to shave and get my mustache going and gray it out.
Oh,
goes Jeff Fisher.
Oh, my goodness.
But then I'd have to, give terrible advice on the show, so I decided
No,
against
not
it.
terrible. More like, I don't know, a winning
50-50.
like a winning percentage of maybe your picks are 400. You're 40% accurate. All right. So yeah, every week we take on each other in the draft app.
Yes.
And the draft app's really cool because unlike other DFS games, this is actually drafting, which, we spend months of the offseason loving the draft prep process.
And there's a strategy involved of playing against the other players.
Here's a perfect example.
We can't all own one player.
No, when we go through these teams, you're going to see that my team is the best. And the reason why is because you could use draft strategy. It's like I really wanted Christian Michael at one of my picks, and I was coming up. Andy was on the turn, so you had back-to-back picks, but you had both your running backs already. So I was like, well, I'm going to wait on him.
Yeah, it's like a 5-person draft. You get into big leagues. You can put $5 into it, win some money out.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's really fun. Last week, Mike and I did head-to-head. Jason was out. And Mike went with the big boys.
I went chalk, baby.
And I went with the matchups. Sometimes when someone goes right, I go left, right into a brick wall. And Mike won.
Chalk, baby.
Mike won with the big names last week. This week, I want to break down your team real quick. We had our draft yesterday.
All right, Andy, give us yours.
Took about 10 minutes. I have Andy Dalton playing the matchup there. DeMarco Murray and David Johnson. Love those horses. And then A.J. Green, the stack with Andy Dalton, and Amari Cooper this week.
I'm going with the Andrew Luck T.Y. Hilton stack. I have Devonta Freeman and Spencer Ware. And I also have big man, Mike Evans. What are we chuckling about?
Well, everyone has a stack.
Yeah, we all have a. I didn't realize that we all went
very strategically.
We all went stack strat. And thankfully, I got the best of the stacks, which is Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, best stack. I got Christian Michael, who is this week my number 1 running back.
Wow.
Lamar Miller, and I went a little out there, and for my wide receiver, I got Gronk.
Yeah, because you can do wide receiver tight end.
Yeah.
So we'll post those on Twitter. You guys can vote for who you think is going to win this week. We'll break down the results next week, and you can grab the draft app and put in the code Footballers when you sign up, and you'll be added to our Foot Clan leagues. So all the people that listen to the show, you can play against everybody. You can also go to playdraft.com/ballers. And if you already have the app and you just want to get in those leagues, go and put the code in the app, or search the leagues for Footballers, and it'll come up. So really easy to do that. Let's go ahead and get into the matchups.
Fantasy Forecast.
We're dying over here.
I need to be in a hazmat suit right now.
Yeah, we're down with the sickness.
Somehow I'm the only one who's okay.
My son got sick last night too. Mike.
Oh, jeez.
Mike, does that make you feel good?
No.
Ebola.
No.
No? Okay.
No. He had like a 99 fever. I don't think it's Ebola.
Well, I'm just saying it could be.
I
want to test it.
I gotta go. I'll be right back. Terrible joke. Terrible joke. All right, let's get into the matchups. Redskins, Bengals. This is the London game. This one takes place early in the morn.
Early.
46.5 point over under. Bengals favored by 3. So, what are the starts and sits in this matchup?
I like a lot of guys. I like this matchup for both quarterbacks. I think that they can both be quarterback ones if you're looking at that situation. We talked about the running back for Washington already, that we would go with Chris Thompson. I don't know. Matt Jones is probably an okay play.
It's a really good matchup.
It's a good matchup, but you were talking very high risk for Matt Jones, who fumbles. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but he's on a historic pace.
He has 8 fumbles, and this is only his second year in the league. He wasn't even. I mean, in a year and a half, he's had 8 fumbles. That's
and he didn't even play a full year.
Yeah, that's really super impressive.
So if he were to fumble again, I mean, you've started a guy who's going to be on the bench. You go over to the other side, Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard. Gio Bernard, I think, is playing so well right now that I think he's a great start. What are you guys doing with Jeremy Hill coming off the monster week?
I like both guys. I think I would be fine starting both, or I should say either. I'm happy to start Hill. I'm happy to start Bernard. Again, you have a pretty good matchup on this side of the ball because the Washington run defense is not very good. It's been their passing defense that's been pretty good this season. I will say this, though. Josh Norman, he has returned to practice. He was in the concussion protocol. He's
already back?
He returned to practice, but he hasn't been cleared for everything. And they're the London game. He basically has to be cleared today or he's out. He's not going to travel. I don't think he plays. I really don't. So if he doesn't play, the passing game opens up for Dalton, for AJ Green, for Brandon LaFell, and for Gio even.
And speaking of a guy who's supposed to play, Jordan Reed says he's going to play. So he expects to be cleared. The clearance has not come yet. I have not seen a final word on that. But
if you can just handcuff with Vernon Davis, you're fine.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But for those asking, I've gotten a couple tweets that say, "Hey, I have Jack Doyle. If Rule 86 is active, what do I do?" And I'm like,
"Do you not know the rule?"
The Rule 86, man. If Jordan Reed is healthy and playing, he's in your lineup.
Yeah, some people only know Rule 86 is a nickname now, but It was originally the rule. Rule 86. Yeah, if he's healthy and starting, you put him in because he's always very good. On the other side of the ball for tight end, look, Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, we disagree on this one.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. I know he's coming up in your starts of the week. So
well, then I'll tell more about him.
Maybe we'll talk about him then. And I don't like disagree to the point of contentiousness. But I do have a different opinion. So, but yours will probably be right.
Chicago Tribune's Mike Mulligan reports Bears coach John Fox told friends, quote, he was done with Jay Cutler. Just throwing that out there.
Well,
he doesn't have a choice right now. He's back.
Is that like a new report? Is that why you said that?
Yeah, it just came
I was
out.
like, he doesn't play for the Bengals or the Redskins. Yeah, Jeremy Hill, by the way, that was the most yardage on 10 or less carries, I think, since 1972. Something like that. Efficient against that Cleveland sieve.
Okay, so the only guy that I think is a big question, right, is in the passing game here for Washington, what do you do with DeSean Jackson? He's been extremely disappointing the whole season. He's untrustworthy in general. We've talked about our willingness to drop him. This is a matchup that
I'm fine with him this week.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a decent matchup.
Flex, though.
He's a flex this week. He's been close to some big plays, so I'm willing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Patriots take on the Bills. This is in Buffalo, 47-point over-under. Some light rain expected in this game. The Bills are underdogs as expected. Mike, let's put it to you right away. I mean, starts and sits in this game. What do you do with LeSean McCoy if he's active? Easy question, right?
Thanks. I appreciate that. If LeSean McCoy is active, I'm trying to find a different option. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that do not have that liberty. So if he's active and you got to play him, I mean, you're forced. Your hand is forced. You have to play him and hope he can be a little bit more efficient. He's up against a tough defense. The Patriots are 11th against the run right now. So hopefully the Bills do the right thing if Shady is not right and they let him rest. Moving over to the Patriots running backs. LeGarrette Blount just continues to get it done, and you're talking a Bills pass defense that is pretty solid. They're 11th. However, the running defense ranks 27th in the league in giving up yards. LeGarrette Blount could have himself another day. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if you guys agree with this or not.
I do agree.
He's ranked pretty high for me.
I don't see a reason to stop giving him the ball. One of the neat stat nuggets on the Patriots that's surprising, and it's a little skewed because Brady was out the first few games, but the Patriots have thrown the ball 48.5% of the time, which ranks 29th. So
that's going up, though.
Yeah. So my point is, LeGarrette Blount, I think, is okay. What do you do with James White? He only caught 2 balls, no carries last week. He had a fine fantasy game because one of them was, a
touchdown,
a nice long touchdown. So he was fine, and you go, oh, he's been really good. But 2 catches, no carries is not a guy I'm usually happy about starting.
I feel like you probably have to play him. I mean, you kind of are probably in the boat where you've been playing him, and he's that flex guy. I don't
asking for a friend.
Yeah, right. I know. So.
All right, well, I'm going to ask for a friend. How do you guys feel about Julian Edelman? He's really been a letdown. We were expecting really big things from when Tom Brady got back. Meanwhile, he's just there. We're not seeing any 2013, 2014 Julian Edelman. I mean, he's not getting it done. He's not getting any touchdowns. He's under double digits, even in our half-point PPR, because he's not getting volume.
Well, what's crazy is he got the volume last week. Every time I looked at the screen, he was grabbing another pass for 3 yards. He got 9 receptions this past week, but only 60 yards, and like you said, no touchdown. I am fine with Julian Edelman. He was really, really involved in the offense. He just didn't break anything off. We've seen weeks prior where he has broken off long things. I don't look at Julian Edelman and think he's lost a step to me. I know that he's missing some practice with the foot, but when I watch the game, he looks fine to me. They're still going to him in the offense. I still trust that it will come around personally.
I know Brady wasn't here the whole year. The Patriots have only thrown the ball 48% of the time. The Bills only throw the ball 47% of the time. That's 29th and 30th in the league. So both of these offenses have been leaning on the running game, not the passing game as much.
Do you like Gillislee if McCoy sits?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I do. And Gillislee has shown a propensity for big plays. So you're kind of hoping – I don't think the volume will be anything close to what McCoy would have gotten. I think Bush, we saw him on the field last week. But big play, possibility, yeah. All right, let's talk Jets and Browns, 43-point over-under. That's low. And then, we talked about McCown, Fitzpatrick. From what I read today, Bilal Powell is moving good in practice, so he should supplement Matt Forte this week. Forte coming off the big week. Do you buy into it for another week?
Yeah,
yes.
I'm glad you do too. I think Forte's in for a very big week this week. He's been getting the touches. Powell might be moving around good, but the report coming out saying Powell's moving around well is really because of the fact that he's dealing with a turf toe injury. If you're healthy, you don't just have reports coming out going, hey, this guy's looking like he can run. So my point being that
that'd be a lot of reports.
Because he's struggling a little bit with an injury, I don't see any reason to not give the ball to Matt Forte a bunch again. And Forte has had the volume. It's been his efficiency, and it's a lot easier to be efficient when you're running against the Cleveland Browns.
Go back and watch the play if you can on Jeremy Hill's big touchdown. You watch a play that any other NFL team, Jeremy Hill would have been tackled for a 5-yard gain, but the safety takes such a horrific angle. Like
that reminded me of you playing linebacker on our flag team.
I appreciate that. I mean, it feels like the safety ran forward and then did a 90-degree turn instead of just trying to do some geometry of a straight line is the fastest way between 2 points. And so I'm just saying that there's –
You probably appreciate that because I compared you to an NFL player right there.
Well,
That's a very high compliment.
I've seen myself play linebacker. It's pretty good.
All right, we moving on to the next matchup, or is there somebody else you want to discuss in this game? What are you playing Pryor? How do you feel about Pryor?
I feel good. What?
Did you just pull off a trade mid-show?
Maybe.
What? You just traded for Andrew Luck while talking? How did you do that?
I told you I'm gifted.
Wait a minute.
That's very interesting.
Wait a minute.
What?
I just see this alert come through my phone. I'm like, wait a minute. He's sitting right here.
Our trade deadline in our league is 10 minutes from now for the entire year.
Wow.
You think I'm going to let this show get in the way of picking up a good player? Is that what the kind of example I'd want to set for our listeners who are, hey, I'm in the middle of working.
No,
The trade deadline's coming up.
No, you're not. Work is in the middle of playing fantasy football.
That's right. Also, shout out to the night shifters, as I'll call them, who last night were helping me debug a few things on the fantasyfootballers.com.
Yeah.
And getting back and forth with me, letting me know how things are going. Shout out to all of you.
Pryor, I feel, I haven't seen any reports yet on how his hamstring is doing, but assuming he's on the field.
He seems to be fine. I mean, he
I
played
like him.
through it last week.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him against the Jets secondary.
Man, if McCown is back.
Very quick. Oh, yeah.
If McCown is back and Pryor's healthy, this is a great matchup.
Very quick detour because we should talk about this because I really want to know. Part of it is asking for a friend. But
A lot of friend questions today.
Pryor, long-term, keeper league, dynasty league. What is Pryor long-term? They're talking contract extension with him. He, before this past week, was the 10th ranked wide receiver.
I have
He's
him
big and tall.
Yeah, I have him in a dynasty in our main dynasty league, and I lost C.J. Anderson, so I was looking for a running back, and I thought, oh, you know what? Ty Montgomery's out there. Let me see if I can get Ty Montgomery in to fill for a couple weeks at running back while I wait for C.J. Anderson to come. And I had the question of like, okay, what do I think of Terrell Pryor? Would I offer Terrell Pryor for a need at my running back who is also, a young, longer-term wide receiver with a good quarterback? And it dawned on me, no, of course not. Like, Terrell Pryor is a freak. He is a true monster out there. When you watch him, he's good. He's a good wide receiver. Now,
Did
he's
they just replace Josh Gordon?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean, he's on a bad team
for free
with a bad quarterback right now. I mean, and probably forever. But his talent is one you hang on to. So if you're in a league where you're talking long-term dynasty or keeper, I think Terrell Pryor is for real.
I think the Patriots missed on him. Can you imagine if he was on that Patriots offense, that big body down the field?
Yep, they'd be happy about that.
All right, let's move on, guys. Let's talk. We're on to Lions and Texans?
Correct.
All right, the Lions take on the Texans. This is in Houston. 45.5 point over-under. The underwhelming Brock Osweiler. Is this a game where Hopkins has a chance to bounce back in a big way? Do you like Hopkins and Fuller in this matchup?
I like Hopkins a lot.
I do.
You do?
I like the
I
passing
thought your
game for the
ranking was
Texans.
really low on
Well, it might
Hopkins.
be, but I'm saying I like the upside of Hopkins this week. I feel like it's if it's ever going to happen. I mean, when we're picking out our streams of the week, everyone's looking at that Brock Osweiler versus the Lion matchup going, oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
Can I do this?
It's the worst passing D in the league for fantasy purposes. Can I possibly recommend Brock?
And the answer was no.
Yeah, for the record, nobody could recommend him. But for me, Darius Slay is, I believe he's going to be out. That's still too early to know definitively. But he was dealing with an injury. If Darius Slay is out, they were all with Darius Slay. They are the worst ranked passing defense for fantasy purposes. For me, I do like Will Fuller a lot, and I like DeAndre Hopkins a lot. Those two guys should be productive this week, and they're playing at home. So, everything is coming together for them to have a good week. We've seen weeks for both players this year already where they've been good with Brock. So why wouldn't it happen this week? I expect it will. All
right. Let's talk about some of the other big start sits in this game. If Riddick's active, I think we all agreed we'd start him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You talked about Tate. The impact of Riddick being back means that Tate doesn't get some of that kind of short passing game work that they were utilizing him in?
Well, maybe. I'm saying that's a question that has to be asked. It's not okay. Golden Tate is back because there was a direct correlation.
Yeah,
Theo Riddick went out. Golden Tate was good for 2 games.
Yeah. No, you're right. The Texans have had a good pass D on the year. Are you confident in Marvin Jones this week?
No, I'm not personally. Marvin Jones over the last few weeks.
What does that decision look like then? If you're not confident,
I still play him.
Is there some start-sit questions that I throw some names out there maybe?
Sure.
Marvin Jones versus Jordy Nelson this week?
I'm taking Jordy.
Okay. You guys are pretty confident that Jordy's just had an off day.
Jordy's been great on the year. He had a game where he wasn't needed.
He had been progressing downward for 4 straight weeks.
With touchdowns in all of them.
No, not with touchdowns in all of them.
The past couple weeks, he is not.
Oh, has it been 2 weeks where he hasn't got a touchdown?
I'm just saying he's been progressing down. He's been progressing downward. Marvin Jones, Ty Montgomery.
I'm going Ty.
I'll go, Montgomery.
Marvin Jones, Amari Cooper.
I'm going Cooper.
And Marvin Jones, Doug Baldwin.
I'm going Doug Baldwin. So there you have it.
I think I'll go Jones there.
I have Marvin Jones as kind of a low-end wide receiver 2 this week. I think I've got him 25. And I'm not like anti-Marvin Jones. I mean, I just said I would start a bunch of people over him, but there's plenty of leagues where I would still start him. He could be good. But if you want to talk about a guy who's progressing downward and, you bring that up with Jordy, you have to kind of bring that up with Marvin Jones. Sometimes we're so caught up in those first 3 monstrous weeks where he got out and he was the number 1 wide receiver. I mean, last week he only caught 4 balls. The week before that was 2. The week before that was 4. I mean, that's just not what you thought you were getting.
For a team that's been winning.
Right.
They've won 3 in a row.
So, to me,
To be fair, though, Mr. Jordy Nelson, he had a touchdown in 2 of those 3 games.
Sure. He's been all right. I mean, I'm not botting him. He's still a wide receiver 2 in my rankings.
I think Fedorowicz is an interesting play this week.
I do not. I think Fedorowicz has been really good when Ryan Griffin was out. When Griffin came back, I think you kind of saw him eat into Fedorowicz a little bit. Just when I was watching the game. So personally,
you ever seen the Lions play D?
Well, I mean, it's a good matchup.
The answer is no.
It's a good matchup.
Eric Ebron. Is Eric Ebron back?
Not from what I've heard.
Eric Ebron is back at practice. So that means that he has a decent chance to play, right? I don't love the matchup, though. So if you're coming off of an injury, playing against the Texans who have not given up a lot to the tight end, I'm not going to play Ebron this week.
Mike, you want to take this next one? I'm out of gas here, man.
Sure. We got the Chiefs and the Colts. This game is in Indianapolis. It has a 50-point over-under. As we call that, the filet mignon matchup. It's delicious. It's delightful. And you want a part of it. You got Alex Smith versus Andrew Luck. I like Andrew Luck a lot. He's my number 1 quarterback for the week. It looks like he's been performing very well.
Donte Moncrief?
Yes. And Moncrief is back. That was a big missing piece for them. Moncrief was great for a week and a half or whatever it was. So I like Andrew Luck to continue rolling. I think that Alex Smith he's an okay stream. I mean, anybody who's playing against the Colts, they're an okay play.
Is he just the weekly, arbitrary, honorable mention stream of the week?
Yes.
Alex Smith?
Yes. That's what he is.
When the chips are down, you break the glass and you pull Alex Smith out and just start him?
in case of
is that how it works?
Debacle.
Yeah, in case you're in trouble, break glass.
Start Alex.
Start Alex. Do you like Alex Smith more or less than Marcus Mariota tonight in the Thursday night game?
I think I like him more.
Smith more.
Okay. We have them ranked very similar. Their consensus actually tied for 15 in our ranking, so I was curious about that. You like Smith more than Dak Prescott taking on that Philly D at home?
I do personally. I think Dak could be in a little bit of a trap. He's looked so good. When the emotions and just the recency bias all swirls together. I mean, you can forget that he is still a rookie. And Philly's D. I mean, they're just – how long do we have to go before we just admit they're a really good defense?
Well, here's your mistake, though. Dak is emotionless. Dak is
That's
cyborg.
True. He is a robot.
So I think I like Dak.
If you listened to the show a couple days ago, we gave you a quick question where you had to guess a player, and it was Frank Gore. Mr. RB12, always RB12. On the other side, I don't want to talk too much about Spencer Ware. He's a must start this week. He'll be in our starts of the week. Let's put it that way. So we'll get into that.
What about the dirty cake, Andy?
He's startable this week. Yeah.
He is.
He's flexible.
After you've abandoned
No,
him?
I bailed on him. I know I pumped the brakes, but I think you could, if you have to flex him, like if it's Djax or Macklin, I don't care. I don't care either way. One more matchup, then starts of the week.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So Seahawks and Saints. I'm really, really curious about this game from a fantasy and NFL perspective because you have two opposing forces. Drew Brees, powerful offense, production. He even performed on the road last week against Kansas City versus Seattle. The Seahawks, epic defense have held, the Cardinals without a touchdown for 5 quarters, and that was on the road. So how do you see this shaking out? Because is there a risk on the entire Saints side of the offense from a fantasy perspective? Like, I'd love to know about what you guys think about Michael Thomas and whether you would start him in this game or Cooks or Snead, because I don't know exactly how great this defense looks. I mean, they're coming off a short week, right? Played 5 quarters in their entirety.
The Seahawks.
The Seahawks did.
Yes. And
really,
it's
in New Orleans.
Really, if you think about it, it's not just they played 5 quarters. Their defense. I mean, their defense played more football than any team in the history of the NFL has ever played in a single game, and it's a shorter week because that was the nighttime game. So you could, and you're going from a road game back home to another road game. I don't ever doubt the Seattle defense, right? I don't think they're gonna. They're gonna be lousy, but there could be some holes or some miscommunications or some plays, and if there's a quarterback that's gonna take advantage of that from a tired defense, it's going to be Drew Brees. So I don't think Drew Brees at home is someone you sit in this matchup. I got Andy Dalton, who I like this week, to play over him for this week when I picked him up last week. But I'm playing Drew Brees in this matchup. I think I've got him as my 6th ranked quarterback.
Yeah, for me, it's just to laser focus the point. The Saints offense has scored 22 points a game. That's first. The Seahawks defense has allowed 7 points per game. That's first. So you definitely have a situation, but I'm with Jason on this. I'm going with Drew Brees at home. I think all of his passing weapons are startable. The three big wide receivers, Cook, Snead, and Thomas. Kobe Fleener is, as we have always say, he's in that pack of gross tight ends. But of any of the gross tight ends, he's one who actually has a big ceiling. So he's still a weekly play for me. I'm concerned. I mean, I like Jimmy Graham in this matchup, but I'm concerned about the Seattle offense. Like Jason said, 5 quarters. I mean, it's mostly the defense, but that was because the offense couldn't do anything. Now Russell Wilson has popped up with a pec injury yesterday to go along with his entire body is if he was in a video game and you were looking at the damage,
his health would be very low.
Very, very low, and his whole body is red.
There's no part of him that is feeling good.
So I'm looking for a different, normally it's an auto start. If your quarterback is playing in New Orleans, you're like, oh yes, I love it. I'm concerned about Russell Wilson this week.
I'm not too concerned. Because of the matchup, look, he is Russell Wilson. It's not like he forgot how to play quarterback or find people or throw the ball. He's not as mobile, and if he's playing a really good defense, that you could shut him down right now. That's what the Cardinals did. Yeah. But I don't think that the New Orleans Saints are going to shut down him.
Shut down him. I don't think they're going to shut down him.
Dang it. Jason Morrison's got one.
That'll be on the Twitter.
But, yeah, no, I love Doug Baldwin this week.
Well, let's find out some more guys we don't think will be shut down this week in our starts of the week.
Starts of the week.
Inching so incredibly close to our new segment, it's not even funny. Jason, are you excited?
I have no idea if I'm excited.
All right, starts of the week.
Butts.
Let's start with the quarterbacks. Let's get through these guys. Jason, kick it off.
All right, if we're kicking it off, I'm going to go with Carson Palmer.
What?
Yeah, I know. This is a little bit surprising, and I'll be honest. This week was a little bit of a tough one to pick. I think
a lot of tough matchups for some of those guys.
We are into week 9, right? Is that right?
It's week 8.
It's week 8,
but that's okay.
We are. Oh man, we are into week 8, And this is the first week where when I finished my rankings and I've looked at the quarterbacks, all of the guys that are pretty much in my top 12 are the names you know. I mean, I like all of your Tom Brady's and your Aaron Rodgers and your Andrew Lucks and your
Joe Namath. And
Joe Namath's going to be great this week. And so
or Namath tilt
hey,
on
by the
Twitter.
way, I was going to say, Joe Namath, you called out Geno Smith for not being tough.
I
and
looked
Geno
at his
Smith
Twitter.
had a torn ACL.
I looked at his Twitter. Maybe it's updated since then. There's been no apology.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because
he
he's
needs
Joe Namath.
he
Wears animals on his back, drinks a lot, and says things that everybody takes as canon because he won a Super Bowl.
He does wear very short shorts. If you not remember that from
Who wears short shorts?
Joe Namath.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right, so getting back to Carson Palmer, here's why I think he is an okay start this week. You have they were able to move the ball last week. They weren't able to score, but that was against a really, really, really good passing defense. Like Mike said, they're the number one in the league at not giving up points. Carolina's defense has been good at stopping the run and terrible. Their secondary is awful. They've got rookies there kind of as starters. And David Johnson, if David Johnson's not tired from last week, I mean,
what was the stat you said about the overtime situation, or what were we talking about with David Johnson's?
there's
You were pumping the brakes a little bit on him in the studio.
yeah, a little bit. I'm not sitting David Johnson ever, but my expectations are a little bit lower because historically, when a team plays deep into an overtime, they're not that good the following week.
Much less on Monday night.
Right, and so yeah, Sunday night in a short week, and but here I'm still picking Carson because the Carolina secondary has been terrible. I think that they might not be able to get it going with the ground, and because Carolina's coming off of a bye, I think they're going to be able to score, and so if they do it, I'm fine playing Carson Palmer.
All right, Mike.
I'm going to double down with Jameis Winston, who is my stream of the week. I'm making it my start of the week as well. Oakland, they're giving up monster games to quarterbacks if they have a legit wide receiver weapon. You want to talk about a legitimate wide receiver weapon? Mike Evans is averaging the most points for a wide receiver in half and full point PPR leagues. The Raiders stayed on the road. Now, I don't know if there's anyone who's actually done a study on this for a team that goes to the East Coast and then they stay there over the week. I mean, they didn't get to go home. So I'm buying a little bit into that narrative, and I like Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay offense.
All right, I'm going to jump in with, I agree with Jason. It was a tough week to kind of grab onto somebody that wasn't one of those auto starts, the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers and the Lucks. So I'm going to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Double down.
This is Jason's stream of the week. So, I believe in the matchup. It's called Cleveland. And if McCown, which, by the way, a new report moments ago, all signs point to McCown starting this week.
Ooh,
and so this just improves the odds of Fitzpatrick having to go to the air longer in the game if McCown can move the ball a little bit. You saw this last week. Andy Dalton had to keep passing because Cleveland got enough points on the board, and Cleveland's defense can't stop him. So I like Ryan Fitzpatrick as the start of the week. Before I have to take another deep breath and talk, I'm just going to give you my running back start of the week.
Do it.
Spencer Ware. It's Spencer Ware against the Indianapolis Colts. And here's why this is a big start for me. I would start him over every single running back this week except for DJ and DeMarco Murray. He's my number 3 running back this week. Spencer Ware is lined up to dominate. It's a great matchup. He's doing it all right now, so I'm gonna stay in the flames with Spencer Ware.
He's my number 1 running back.
That's pretty good.
We are in much accord on this. My start of the week running back, Devontae Booker. It's his time. CJ's out at least for this week. That we know. We've seen the talent, 4.8 yards per carry, and the Chargers are among the best matchups for a running back, and you're looking at Devontae Booker being the guy. So I expect a lot of carries. I expect him to score. I like Devontae Booker a lot. You just plug him in. You've been holding on to him for this moment, and this is perfect.
Yeah,
Cinderella
when we were picking starts of the week last night, Jason had already chosen his, and there was Ware and Booker. And I didn't even put one in because I just said, whatever one Mike takes, I'm going to take the other guy. So,
right.
Love it. Mike, or Jason, who's your guy?
It's Mike. It's C. Mike.
Yeah.
Kristen Michael. I pumped the brakes on him last week for the Arizona game, which was wise. He did not have a good game. This week, I'm hitting the gas. Okay, I'm saying fill her up, take her for a spin because I don't I feel like I'm willing to put a bet that he scores a touchdown. I mean, I just don't see in this game against New Orleans with the offenses going back and forth. I don't see, and especially with that run D, how does Christian Michael not score a touchdown?
Oh, yeah.
And so
it's a perfect matchup.
If he's getting, a bunch of yards and gets a touchdown, he's had 2 multi-touchdown games already this year. I could see one coming this week. The touchdowns are the reason why he is so highly ranked for me. I'm starting him over everybody.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the wide receiver starts of the week. I'm staying in the embers, okay? We have this this phrase on the show, stay in the flames. When a guy has put together successful weeks back-to-back, I consider last week to be the beginning of a potential blaze for Davante Adams, a breakthrough type of week. I'm staying in
but then he'll melt.
Yeah, I'm buying in. The target bonanza that takes place right now in that Green Bay offense, the fact that they have to run through the air, so to speak. Atlanta, a great matchup. It should require more of the same from Rodgers this week. I like all the receiving options. We talked about it earlier. The reason Adams gets my start of the week is because he's the most trepidatious decision for fantasy owners this week, and I think you can flex Davante Adams. And last week, 32 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns, 13 receptions.
Very few
monster
owners
week.
Got those points.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's an opportunity this week. I'm going to go out on the limb. And, Jason, I'm going to kick it to you because you got another
Sure.
Green Bay wide receiver,
Yeah.
running back, tight end, kicker, whatever he is. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with that same game. Look, I mean, the Atlanta-Green Bay game, that is going to be Vegas has it as the far and away highest scoring game. I don't see why they would be wrong here. And so Ty Montgomery is a guy that you might be starting, but you might have other good options. And I'm saying start him over other really good options because his floor is as high as anybody's in the league. You've got Knile Davis coming in. He's going to take a couple of touches away, but the majority of the snaps, I mean the vast majority of the running back snaps are going to go to Ty Montgomery lined up in the backfield. They're going to be passing him the ball. If you look at the matchup with Atlanta, right, last week I had Tevin Coleman as my start of the week because when running backs catch the ball against Atlanta, they crush them. How about a wide receiver catching the ball as a running back against Atlanta? It's a perfect storm, and his ceiling, if he gets a touchdown, he's going to be great. But, I mean, his floor is just massive. He had 98 yards 2 weeks ago receiving. He had 66 yards receiving. That's 20 catches in the last 2 weeks. Receptions, not just targets, 20 targets.
Especially beautiful in PPR leagues.
Yeah, and then he added 60 yards on the ground last week.
All right, Mike.
All right, I didn't have
This
the
is
courage.
interesting.
I did not have the courage to make Brock Osweiler my stream of the week, but I'm going on a ledge here. I'm living like Aerosmith on the edge. Will Fuller.
I love it.
Every bad secondary he has played, he has torched them for a big play or 2 big plays.
Detroit qualifies.
Detroit does qualify as they have given up 9 wide receiver touchdowns in 7 games. In 7 games, 9 touchdowns. And 4 of those games, 4 of the 7, the wide receivers combined for over 170 yards. I'm flexing Fuller this week. You have held on to him. You've wondered what to do with him. I think this is the time that he can get back in there and have another big game for your flex that puts you over the edge.
All right. Well, tight ends?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you mine. It's Gary Barnidge. And it's even the McCown news makes me feel even better about this.
Yeah.
Look, the options are just plain limited in the passing game for the Cleveland Browns, but the Jets have been a bad secondary. They're 24th against the tight end. No matter who's behind center, I think Barnidge is seeing consistent targets. He's a top 12 tight end right now. I think he's a start of the week for me.
I like it. Gary Barnidge is a silent assassin right now.
Yeah.
Because there's no buzz.
He just grabs his lunch pail and goes to work.
There's no buzz about Gary Barnidge because of
He's the young Jason Witten.
you had the trash start and everyone was I'm bailing on Barnidge, but he's back, man. He's back to putting up weekly production.
Yeah. All right, Jason.
I am going. We talked about this earlier. I think Tyler Eifert is an absolute start of the week. Here's why. He has every bit as big a chance at scoring a touchdown as any of the Barfy tight ends that you'd be considering starting him or the other guy. If you're telling me, whether, okay, do I start Tyler Eifert or Julius Thomas or Fleener against Seattle or Charles Clay, or, all these other options that you'd be considering when you're not sure, is Tyler Eifert back yet? Well, he's got as good a chance to have the game that they're going to have. But he has the ability, if they've already said his role is supposed to expand in week 8. If his role expands and he does what he did last year, I mean, he's got an upside that these other guys don't have. He was the number 6 tight end on the season last year. So I think I am fine starting him because when you're looking, I mean,
you're looking for some upside.
I'm looking for upside, yeah.
And I think it'll take a week, but everything you said there with the Barfi tight end options that you have, totally fine with it. Totally fine with it. Unless you're talking about putting them in over some of the bigger names.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not starting them over Reed or Olsen or any.
Mike, close us out before we get to the new segment because
All right.
I'm just ready.
How was Jimmy Graham not one of our starts of the week?
Because he is for me.
Oh.
Yeah, he is. You didn't get to the last guy.
Funny. Well,
Jimmy
I
Graham.
agree. I give my seal of approval.
Revenge game. He's back.
You really like revenge game
I love
narratives.
revenge game narratives. He's back. And on top of the revenge game narrative, which is a little bit silly,
Sure.
I admit this. His last 4 games, the worst he did was 5 for 53 against the best fantasy tight end defense in the league, and that is Arizona. He has 2 games over 100. Plus, we saw Greg Olsen just get loose against this team. Yeah, fully foot loose.
All right, so Jimmy, lock and loaded.
Jimmy Graham is my tight end start of the week.
All right, it's time. It's time. Now, listen, if you've listened to this show long enough, you know one thing, and you know it for certain. It's a guarantee. Jason loves kickers. There is nothing that Jason loves more than kickers, and we trust. Jason is right now the 9th most accurate fantasy analyst in the world. He's performing well, and you can lean on him for the position he values most, which is the kicker position. And so we debut with fanfare.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Oh, this is ridiculous. and I would refuse, except that drop was too good to not give you one.
Give us the boom boom.
Give us the boom boom kicker of the week.
Look,
Jay.
I mean, this is
win a
easy.
week for me.
This is easy, low-hanging fruit. You already have him on your team. You're not signing him off of waivers because he's the best kicker maybe in the history of the league. And I'm going with Adam Vinatieri. He doesn't miss. He's made more kicks in a row at field goal than his age, and he's 43 years old.
4 kicks in a row at field goal.
More field goals in a row than his age. He's going up against Kansas City. There's a high over-under. Yards are basically the most correlating stat to kicker production.
Sure.
So there should be yards put up, but Kansas City's got a pretty stout defense.
So you are locking. I feel like we should have made him boom boom. We should have made him put on. We need to get a kicker's jersey, like a Vinatieri jersey, and for the segment, he needs to put it on. So just to be clear, you love kickers, you study kickers all the time, and your boom boom kicker of the week is Adam Vinatieri.
I recommend getting rid of the kicker position wholeheartedly.
All right, we're at an hour. My voice is gone. We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back today twice.
Oh, we will. We have a exclusive. Yeah, this is great for the voice, right? We got a live stream today for jointhefoot.com listeners. So hey, look, if you're not part of jointhefoot.com, get in today and you can be part of the live stream.
You can chat with us.
We do giveaways on there. We also have our exclusive Footcast episode, so the extra episode every single week this afternoon with all Foot Clan questions answered. We are all day, every day. This is all we do.
Signing up
football.
jointhefoot.com today is like being a Davante Booker owner.
Yeah, you've got it all lined up for you.
Yeah, get in on it.
That's right. So, hey, and thanks to Fantasy Jocks for sponsoring our studio. You can check out fantasyjocks.com. Promo code
Footballers.
They've got trophies, championship belts, things that, Jason really wants.
Already have them.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.